And I really see a lot of these auto manufacturers pushing the government to make it really hard on these Chinese companies.
See this car right here? I'm not proud of it. A couple days ago, I went and bought a lot of cars, and I didn't check them out.
Ford shouldn't be worried about trying to get the cheapest labor on the planet. Maybe they should be finding a CEO, finding a different CEO.
Should have been more expensive than that, but it wasn't. So hopefully it'll be good, and it'll be a good car for somebody.
So now what could be detrimental to a lot of these US auto manufacturers, especially in the EV space, is that we have China, we have BYD, an automotive company that's coming and planning on manufacturing some of their vehicles in Mexico. And then their plans are to bring those vehicles from Mexico that are produced there into the United States. So why this is so bad is because BYD, who has a very, very large footprint in the EV space in China, can come and make a very cheap electric vehicle. And that's going to really, really hurt a lot of these companies that are not named Tesla. And it could even take a lot of Tesla's market share. I do think Tesla's going to be a little bit safer than these other manufacturers. But you see a company like Ford, GM, Stellantis that are trying to make these more run-of-the-mill, more everyday drivers in the EV space. They're not going to be able to make them anywhere close to as cheaply as BYD would be able to. So it's going to be very, very bad news for these auto manufacturers if and when you get BYD coming into the States and being able to produce these cheaper EVs to get to consumers. Because right now, if you're going to get new consumers into the EV space, the way you have to do it is price. And the big three, they have shown that they can't do it. They can't do it with price. They can't do it with price, and they can't do it making money if they're going to lower their prices. We already see Ford, they're hemorrhaging money in the EV space. And if BYD comes in with a very affordable product, then it's probably going to be that either a consumer is going to buy BYD or they're going to buy Tesla. And there's probably not going to be room for any other market share across any of these other manufacturers. So really especially the big three, this is their worst case scenario for trying to grow their EV products in the US. And I really see a lot of these auto manufacturers pushing the government to make it really hard on these Chinese companies, the BYD, to be able to produce vehicles and bring them to the United States to retail to customers.
All right, here's one that we just bought at the auction. Usually Alex does all our buying at this auction that we went to, but I was there with him, and he started to buy the car. He doesn't like to pay over like $25,000 to $3,000 for something really, really nice for a car. So he got off the car. I ran over to him. I said, "Okay, this looks good. It's a newer Impala for us." And I asked him if it was good. He said it was good. Yeah. So when he got off of it, I got on it, and we ended up buying it. But we're going to see if I should have bought it or not. It seems to be good. It seems to look, it looks pretty nice. This is a lot newer than what we typically will buy, but it's a 2016 Impala, and he got off at like $2,900. I think I paid $3,100 plus buyer fees and stuff like that. We should be able to price it for, I think, $5,000. Hopefully we won't have to do anything to it. If we do, we might have to price it just a little bit higher. I don't like going in that $5,500 range, but during tax time, we've expanded our range just a little bit so we could buy more cars. And that allowed us to buy probably, I would guess, 20 to 25 more cars when we expanded our range just a little bit. So that's what we do during tax time. We have to reach a little farther than maybe we want to, so we can have inventory sitting here for our customers to be able to buy. That's what you end up with. You end up with a 2016 Impala that I would regularly not buy, but we're having to dig and scratch and dig some more to find some cars that fall through the cracks. And this feels like one that fell through the cracks, because it should have been more expensive than that, but it wasn't. So hopefully it'll be good, and it'll be a good car for somebody.
So Ford CEO just said because they were hit so hard during the strikes, there might in the future think about where they're going to be building their vehicles, and this probably means more plants in Mexico and more manufacturing going to Mexico to help their costs, especially with labor. And in response to this, Sean Fain, the president of the UAW, came out and said, well, maybe Ford shouldn't be worried about trying to get the cheapest labor on the planet. Maybe they should be finding a different CEO to focus more on the future of the auto industry. And this was a pretty big dig that Sean Fain is saying is, okay, well, maybe the CEO of Ford should not be worried about their labor costs and trying to get this really, really cheap labor. Maybe they should be worried about quality. Maybe he should be worried about really the future of where Ford's going. And this is probably going to be a heated match for the foreseeable years against the CEO of Ford and the president of the UAW.
This past week has really surprised me and Alex. Alex is my mechanic, and he goes to auctions for me and buys a lot of cars for me. But what has really surprised us is that we were actually able to buy quite a few cars. And what I'm concerned about for the market is that tax time did not hit a lot of these dealers like it hit us. And now, because they loaded up for tax time and then their sales are not going to be what they have anticipated, is that they're going to have to just stop buying altogether. Now, this is good for me, but this is bad for a lot of dealers who maybe didn't hit it hard. And what the worry is for the car market is that when you go through this time period where you have a lot of dealers that buy, and then there's no selling pressure on the other end of that, which we should be experiencing now. Our dealership has experienced that we were able to sell a lot of vehicles, and the demand was there. But if it gets sucked up just as soon as it got here, because tax money moves through the system very quickly, a lot of these dealers, they're just done buying at this point, because they're going to tap out their floor plans, their available credit, and the space that they have, and this anticipation of this great selling season, this spring selling season that they were going to get, didn't happen. And that's what we might be seeing at the auctions now, that we should not be able to be buying anything. We were anticipating that the auctions this past week were going to be crazy and all these cars were going to be untouchable. And we were able to buy, I think 12, 15 cars, somewhere around there. And that's not normal for us after tax time hits. But we're going to see this coming week if we're going to be able to buy. Sometimes there's a lag in when we see tax money, when other dealers see tax money. Our prices are so cheap, the $5,000 and under range, that the people that need cars like right this second, they'll rush to our dealership because they're going to go online, they're going to look at the prices, and obviously our prices are going to come up a lot quicker than these other dealers, because a lot of people search from prices from least to greatest, and we're the least, so we're at the top of the list. And so maybe it's the factor of, okay, we're moving through a lot of these because we're priority in search engines, car gurus, stuff like that. And we get that first wave, and then the other dealers will get a lot more of the second, third waves, and just slowly move through their inventory. And if that happens, then car prices will continue to go up at auctions from here. But if they don't, then that's a big tell for this car market right now, that these other dealers are not selling cars when they thought they should be.
All right, so you thought we were done talking about unions for a while, but no, we are not. Yes, the strikes are all over, but now what we're seeing is that, okay, Sean Fain, this new UAW president, starting to stretch out their wings for the UAW and try to get some other brands involved, some other plants involved. We now have a Mercedes-Benz plant in Alabama that a majority of their workers are signing cards to want to join the union. And what we're probably going to see in the near future is that a lot of these plant workers for a lot of these auto manufacturers, they're going to see what happened over the course of the last year and see that a lot of these union workers under the Big Three got substantial pay raises, and you know what? They want to cut too. So we're probably going to see upcoming that there are going to be a lot more of these laborers join the UAW, and that's only a big negative for a lot of these manufacturers, because that's going to mean in the future that these the wages, they're going to have to go up, and if wages go up, prices have to go up, all their costs goes up, margins go down. It's not good for the manufacturers.
All right, we're walking out here because I have to show you something. See this car right here? I'm not proud of it. Mistakes were made. Regrets are had. So a couple days ago, I went and bought a lot of cars, and I didn't check them out. Alex usually goes and buys our cars at this auction, but he was sick, so I had to take over. And Alex is a better car buyer than me. No, he is a much better car buyer than me. He'll see this, and I usually admit that on this video. I don't like to say it to him personally, just so he doesn't be able to talk smack to me, because we're related. I don't know if you know that or not, but so our digs at each other are pretty harsh. Anyway, so bought this car. Obviously, didn't check it out or whatever, and head gasket's blowing on it. Yes, I can buy bad cars. I've been doing this 13 years. I still buy bad cars. I do it all the time. So we're going to lose money on this car. What our plan is for it now is that we'll wait for the title to come in. When we buy cars at auction, the title is not there. Stupid. We have to wait for the title, so I don't want to sell it to another dealer, and then the title never comes in, and then I have to basically get the car back from that dealer and then take it back to the auction. And if we do transport, we just end up spending a lot more money on it that we're going to probably lose anyway. So I think I paid like $2,000, $2,500 on, I don't know, too much. Whatever I paid for it was too much. And we're going to end up dumping it at another auction when the title comes in. And it'll probably only sell for $800, $1,200. And the reason why it will bring a lot less money is because my name will be on it, and I'm an independent dealer. So when cars go to auction, they have the dealers' names on it that are selling them, and franchise dealers, those cars bring a lot more money than an independent dealer will bring at auction. The reason being is because we know that the franchise dealers, those cars are trade-ins. We know that not necessarily that car's there because it's bad. We know it's there because the customer just wanted to upgrade to a new car, so they trade in their old car, and we like to buy trade-ins because they're usually okay. Not all the time, obviously, but when there's an independent dealer that's selling a car at an auction, we don't want to buy that car because that independent dealer couldn't sell it on their lot for whatever reason. Either the car's bad or it wasn't desirable. So other dealers know the same thing that I know. That dealer couldn't sell that car on their lot, so why do I think I can sell that car on my lot? So if I see an independent dealer selling a car at auction, I don't even look at it. I'm not bidding on it, not even checking it out. So that means same thing with this car. Other dealers are going to see it at auction. They're not even going to check it out. They're not going to buy it. And it's going to bring half the money, probably even less than what I spent on it. So we're going to take a big haircut on that car. We know it's going to happen. But hopefully the title comes in soon, because I want to get that to the auction as soon as possible, because right now prices are elevated at auctions. We're in the middle of tax time, so prices at auctions are way up. So we're going to get the most money out of it right now. So hopefully the title comes in very soon, so I don't have to lose both of my sides of my butt on it, just some of my butt on it. Not all of my butt. I don't want to lose all my butt on it. So we buy cars a lot at auction, and a lot of times, if it's a good auction, a lot of times they'll write what they know is wrong on the car, just so the buyers are more aware of what's going on. This one says ride and drive and valve cover leak. So valve cover leak, that's easy to know about, right? It's the valve cover that's on the top of the motor or whatever leaking. You can see the oil caking, whatever. That's an easy fix. We can deal with that. But what I want to point out is it said ride and drive on it. And what that is from the auction is basically a guarantee that the motor and the transmission is good on it. So we basically have like a warranty built in when we buy cars green light or with a ride and drive. And when we buy a car like that, if we get it out on the road and the motor's knocking, if the transmission is not changing, then we can actually take that car back into the auction, and they'll verify that the motor transmission is bad, and we'll get our money back with what we paid for the car and the buyer fees. So when we buy cars ride and drive, it just gives us a little bit more confidence knowing that it's going to be a good car. And we also, it'll typically bring a little bit more money if the seller does that. So it's up to the seller to put that ride and drive on the car and make the announcement when they're on the stand or when they're giving the auction the notes before it actually goes through the auction. But for the sellers out there that do sell cars that are green light, they put a ride and drive on them. The cars typically bring more money just because it's an added security for the buyer, and it makes other buyers that are out there, they can buy that stuff and not necessarily feel like they need to check it out. So it's going to bring more buyers, more bidders on that particular car. So it's just a good thing all around for sellers to do. It's not necessarily the greatest thing for buyers like me and Alex that actually check out cars before the auction, because if the car doesn't have a ride and drive, there's going to be fewer bidders on it. Even though we've checked it out, we know it's going to be a good car. We don't really want to necessarily see that ride and drive on there because the car will be cheaper. And if we know it's a good car because we checked it out, then we don't want those buyers who are bidding on vehicles and not checking them out. We don't want them raising their hand on our car. All right, so this right here is our war board. This is how we know what needs to happen to the cars that we currently have. Obviously, we don't have a lot of cars that are being fixed right now because we haven't been able to buy a lot of cars because we're in tax season and we're pulling back on our buying. But this is what I like to see. This is our fixed column. Look at that. This means Alex is doing a fantastic job because we have one car that needs to be fixed. Now we have stuff that needs to, we have to drive to see what's wrong with it. But I always, when this is filled up, this square right here is in direct correlation with my stress level. The more cars that are in this square right here, the higher my stress gets. The fewer cars that are in this, the lower my stress gets. So I love to see this big empty space right here where it needs to be fixed. We don't have very many of them right now. It's good.
And because in the car market, we're seeing that the average monthly payment is the highest that it's ever been, what it's causing people to do is to fix their cars more. So we can see companies like AutoZone just put out that they're forecasting even higher profits than anticipated. And it's because people are choosing to fix their cars more. So a place like AutoZone, who sells parts for people to repair their cars with, they're going to do very well in this environment. And this is really a big recommendation from me too. If you can fix your car, it's much better for you to do that, make it last longer, so you don't have to get yourself into these crazy car payments that are happening right now in the car market. Interest rates are still high for what the values of these vehicles are, and it makes so much more sense for a consumer to just keep driving what they have, fix it, make it last longer, instead of having to pay way too much for these vehicles that are in this market right now.
So I've got this old Blazer sitting in the back. I've had a few people put a couple comments when they see it in the background. It's just an old Blazer, but the inside of it's pristine. But there's a story with that one that I'm going to end up doing a video about that Blazer. I'm going to restore it and do a little work on it and make it right so I can drive it whenever I want to. But it was actually the very first car I ever bid on, and that was 13 plus years ago. And it was interesting, I actually didn't win the bid on that car, but how I was able to get it is because my grandfather, who I used to go to auctions with, was actually the one who won the bid on it. I went up to, I think it's like $900. I brought $1,000 with me to the auction, and I couldn't go a penny more than $900 because with the buyer fees, I wouldn't be able to purchase it. So I wanted it, I couldn't afford it. So my grandfather asked me when somebody hit it for $1,000, and I shook my head no. He said, "You're not gonna buy that?" I said no, and so he hit it for $1,100. He ended up getting it. So he kept it and got it cleaned up, whatever. It looked great, and ended up selling it to my uncle. And my uncle, unfortunately, a few years back, passed away. But my aunt gave it to my grandfather and just had it sitting around. And my grandfather knew that was the first car I ever bid on, so he ended up giving it to me. So it's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to end up keeping it forever. But it's not in good shape, so I think we're going to have to go into it, redo the motor on it. I think we're definitely going to have to do some brakes, tires, bunch of things. But it's a old, I think it's like a 88. I can't remember what year it was, but it's got power seats. It's got power windows. It's got the nice like cushiony seats. It was like the top trim of what they produced then, and it's crazy how nice it is on the inside. But I want to go through it and do it all right. And whenever we get through tax time and get through all the craziness, and I've got some time on my hands, then we'll start working on it. But then I'll show it to you whenever we start working on it.
So we all know right now. Nope. Start that whole thing over.
Unstuckified. We can't get stuck. That's stupid.
Just cut that before I start. Hopefully there's a good ending point there somewhere.